We've been having a great morning together, and we've just been really talking through. I know you guys, I came across your story just really a few weeks back, and one of the pastors here on our staff, Emily Grabatin, who oversees some of our groups, she said, you need to meet Andrey and Natalie. They're part of our church. They're leading a group, and it's amazing what their story. And so she just gave me a little bit of a snapshot, but why don't you tell us about really 9 years ago, I know you kind of have mentioned that you sort of had this low point for you guys. Talk to us a little bit about that. What happened? What sort of led you to that point in your lives?
Yes, 9 years ago. It was summer of 2008. It was the lowest point in our life for both of us. And it was the time when Natalie had an emotional meltdown. And she took 3 of our boys and she left and she said, I'm not coming back until you fix your mess. And what led to it is me pursuing my goals. Okay, so at that time, it was already about 6 months in since I've lost one of my companies due to unionization. And but I was still running a few companies. I was still running my real estate brokerage, mortgage brokerage. I was partner in the insurance brokerage. I was publishing a small Russian language real estate magazine in GTA. And Natalie was running a small senior home that we owned. So those were the circumstances.
So you weren't busy, really?
No.
Taking it easy.
It was a minor thing next to raising 3 boys.
Yeah, right.
It was almost nothing. Okay, but going through this process, what I realized that it wasn't greed for money. It wasn't the love for money. What was behind? What was the driving force? To go towards my goals, it was my fears. I was fearing for my future. I was fearing for the security of my family, for the provision of my family. And that was basically and simply due to my lack of trust that God is the real provider. He is the one that will take care of me. There was nothing wrong with the goals, okay? But the motives and the drive behind, that was undermining my trust in God.
Right.
And what led to my meltdown, having a business that I was not passionate about, and being married to Ukrainian, I not only married Andrey, I married his mother, his father, his sister, his brother.
How many been there before?
Yeah,
all right, can I get a witness? Okay,
yeah.
Good.
And for the first 17 years of our marriage, I mean, our home was a shelter, was always open to all the family. So we sheltered half of the Ukrainian community. And I was the yes girl. Anything I was asked, I always did. And my motives was, of course, to please other people. And pleasing other people, doing everything for everybody else, making sure that they were okay. I lost myself in all of that. And having the business, I did it because I had to for security. I didn't do it because I loved it or that was my passion or the reason for my living. I mean, I helped my seniors and I did my job well, but it wasn't who I am. And anyway.
Yeah.
And within that, I saw that I was fearing, of course, the security. I was fearing that Andrey was going to leave me, my fear of abandonment, my rejection. All that really, really came to the surface, which I didn't understand why. I mean, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I gave my heart to Jesus. Life is supposed to be good from then on. And it wasn't. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's. I think for a lot of us, maybe in the room, you've been there. You know that low point. So for those maybe that are here that are kind of just at that point where it's like things were at their wits' end and they're thinking, I don't even know what to do to get out of this. What steps to take? What would you say to someone who was maybe in the same place you were 9 years ago? What decisions did you have to make, or what did you change?
Yeah, when we hit rock bottom in 2009. Of course, we're crying out for help. And so, of course, at church, they had the Freedom Program, which we were, of course, encouraged to attend, and we did. And God really came through that program. And we basically were able to see that it wasn't all his fault. I was able to see it wasn't, all his fault. That I played a role in my unhappiness and in my being exhausted. And it was great to see it, but it hurt a lot that I wasn't the victim that I cried to be, that I was actually playing a role in what was happening in my life.
So now 9 years from then, and some of the things that you've decided. So you took the Freedom class. You guys made some changes. What would have been sort of to use that word, the ripple effects, so to speak, of those decisions? What's kind of been different since then? What have you learned about yourself and God and your lives?
So after Natalie decided that we have to make a step and take that first step, initial step, and we made a decision to join the group. On a personal level, what I was able to achieve is to have peace with God, get peace with myself, and get peace with others. And as a Christian, I know and understand and believe that God forgives my sin and my shortcomings. But from a personal experience, the most difficult part in that process was to come to terms with myself, to forgive myself for the decisions I made or haven't made on that procession to the goal, because the mistakes were made and the consequences were paid, and I had to come to terms with myself. I surrendered my mistakes to Christ, and I know I'm forgiven, but then I have to deal with myself on a personal level. Okay, so going through the program, it helped me to recognize that, to meet with the people that I hurt due to my behavior, and make amends with them, and also forgive those people that hurt me as well in the process. Okay, so those are things on a personal level. And on a community level, we never thought that we'll be serving in some sort of ministry. So that lying down to a true purpose, going through the curves on our way to the goals, and it's not coming out the way we want, okay? But God took us to the purpose, okay? And that purpose today for us is serving others in a way that we know how, and He showed us how, through our mistakes, through our weaknesses. He took our weaknesses, He took our mistakes, and He brought it to the purpose.
I love it. I love that because, at least for me, I love that a couple things. That you just took a step. And it may seem like a simple thing, like you just decided to take that class, and people will say, well, that doesn't fix all the problems that you have. And you're right, it doesn't. But it started you down there was ripple effects to that decision, right? It was one decision that you made. And then all of a sudden today, you're leading this class. And just so you know as well, this is a class that is happening here at Central. There's one happening at the end of July, I think, right? July 29th at our noon experience, 12 o'clock. But it's also happening in Ukrainian prisons, you had mentioned, which is fantastic.
Yes, through this process, God opened the door, and we were able to spend 6 months in Ukraine and start a few groups and train leaders that are today doing the program in the prisons.
I love it.
As well.
Amazing. Can we give these guys a big round of applause? Thanks so much, you guys.